Two seals and a walrus.
Hey guys, welcome to Two Seals and a Walrus. I am Sean Webb, your co-host. As with me always, Ben Johnson across the table, United States Navy SEAL, sniper, medic, and in our empty chair, Doug is out today, spending some time with some family. A little unexpectedly, so he will be back in our next episode. Today we have an amazing guest with us. His name is Bryant Chambers. He's a new friend of mine from TikTok, one of the people that I found early and started to subscribe to his stuff because it's freaking amazing. This man you're about to meet right here. He's got a YouTube channel that's blowing up. He's also blowing up on TikTok. His advice and coaching is freaking amazing, but we're kind of in the same space of, ex-military common sense dudes trying to help everybody figure out how to manage their mind and live their life in a less stressful, more effective fashion, and that's what this man is all about. Bryant Chambers, welcome to the show.
Man, come on, man. How am I supposed to follow that?
Tell us how many subscribers.
I used to be a musician. Never follow the reggae players on stage.
No, you can't.
That's what you just did to me.
Because Bad News Bears.
You just did a whole patois set and then asked me to get up here and spit a 16.
Well, it's okay because.
What am I gonna rap about after that?
Tell them how many subscribers you have more than Sean.
That's a good place to start.
I got you, dog. I set you up. Alley-oop this one.
He's the most amazing man that's ever lived. He's got the longest penis. Like, what? How am I supposed to follow that?
No, at least, look, sir, at least you're not wearing a t-shirt with your own fucking face on it, right? Look how horrible I have sunk into existence of wearing my own fucking likeness on a t-shirt. All right, so to give people a clue,
it's better than wearing a picture of your own dick on your t-shirt.
All right, to give people a clue
and pants,
what I like about your content, I want to show them a couple of TikToks that you did just to set the stage, and then we can take off from there and just start talking. Neil, you ready to go? All right, so let's. I want to share with you. This is my iPad. Are we on there? There is Brian's pretty face. This is one of the videos I liked here.
After one of the major battles I fought when I was in combat, I had to hide in a place like this to use the bathroom. When I tell you, you don't want to live, hide, or die in a place like this. You especially don't want to be caught with your pants down. Forgive my body armor and workout bands. I'm over here by the house working out. But one of the things I learned about hiding in a place like this is it can get comfortable. It can give you the illusion of safety. But had I stayed here, I would have eventually been killed. And I would have missed the opportunity to see all of the things around me out here that I could potentially have access to. Right? I can have a whole life out here that's amazing if I'm willing just to incur some of the dangers that are out here and be willing to leave the safety of the ditch. Don't get me wrong, friends. I understand why the ditch is so attractive. It seems safe in there, but that is not where you want to die. Get up and get after your purpose. I love you.
Nice. And then this is the other one here I love because...
God, I hope this one finally gets me canceled so I don't have to feel this obligation to be on the internet to help people. Let's get it. All right, so my wife just called and interrupted my workout to threaten me with sex.
Bum, bum, bum.
And I couldn't be happier. Why? Well, I'm a sexual Klingon, okay? That's a funny way to say that my primary love language is touch, but like on crack. Seriously, to put it in perspective, I don't know much about the Vikings, but I heard when they went to war, even the women would rape men in the villages. Let's just say if I was in one of those villages, I would have the best smelling and looking tent. And if that's too dark for you, just remember that people are dead because of me and you probably shouldn't be following me in the first place. But for the rest of you sexual Klingons who feel that your partner may not be up to the crazy that you are, much like my wife, remember that they can be sexual Klingons, but their primary love language might not be touch, which means you need to be giving in a different way. So for my wife, I have to give acts of service the way I want her to give sex. Next thing you know, I'm getting phone calls with...
Yes.
I absolutely love that. Oh man,
accurate.
Yeah, it's so fun. No, but I mean, here you are. You're a combat vet, right? And we'll get into that in a minute and get that backstory. And here you are talking about the 5 different love languages, which is a major book that's out. That
there's only 5.
You are educating people about how their mind works in 60-second clips that are entertaining and people love to watch. And man, that's how could you be a better human being?
How could you be a better human being?
No,
but the reality is let's talk about them love languages. Like, there's only 5 of them?
So I don't think so. The book talks about 5. I think there's only 4 in the book because gifts is one of them, and only my grandmother has gifts
Okay.
as her love language. Out of all the people I've met, let me
Checks
not
for
say
$12 and individually wrapped hard candies.
So I've never met a person other than my grandma whose love language is gifts. That's hers.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. I think the book is just trying to simplify how hard it is for humans to communicate with one another because we're all so nuanced and different.
Right.
And they just came up with 5 categories because we have all of the quote unquote love languages, for lack of a less corny way to talk about it.
Yeah.
But it's which ones speak to you the right way at the right time and the most intensely.
And how do you interface those with different ones? Because everybody's different.
Everybody's different, and everybody's you can have obviously more than one love language, but you're gonna, just like personality, you're gonna have tendencies towards different things. So the book only talks about 5. They are touch, which is the one we covered. Acts of service would be my wife, but words of affirmation is also one of my wife's. Gifts, words of affirmation, and then quality time, spending time with people. But if you think about it rationally, like, who doesn't like quality time with people that they like? Who doesn't like to hear that they're awesome? Who doesn't like to have their body parts touched pleasantly? So it's we humans like to turn everything into a religion, but the bottom line is we all have different ways we like to be loved, and pay attention.
Well, I found your stuff early on TikTok, and I was just really impressed with the amount of content that you were putting out and the quality of the content you were putting out. And I was like, I got to subscribe to this guy. What got you started into this? All right, first of all, let's just back up. What branch of service were you in that gave you the basis of your experiences that you are now sharing on social media?
Coast Guard.
I started in the Army.
Can't you tell that's how he got so fucking hard?
And I think is that Coast Guardophobia? Because I laughed.
Yeah.
I was in the Army. I was an Army guy.
Okay, so Army guy, and where'd you go? Like, you went overseas, obviously?
Yeah, so I was stationed. I've been a couple of different places, but most of the stories that matter to people were in the Middle East.
Yeah, but you're a cake eater, is that right?
Cake eater. What's that mean?
Officer?
Yeah.
Let me see how big those thumbs are, sir.
Well, I have a cyst on this one. So
Yeah, I don't doubt it. That's from trying to fucking really get that thumb,
Really
put heavy thumb down on your enlisted men.
that planning and organization that I'm doing.
The heaviest thumbs around.
So yeah, I was an Army dude, man. And then I was most of the stories that people care about it, stuff that I did at Fort Benning or the Middle East.
Yeah. Well, my condolences on your Army.
Thank you.
His Army's doing fine.
Still in recovery.
Yeah. They're still at the top of the food chain for the most part. They're doing fine.
It's just because there's more of us, man.
Yeah.
We get all the money and there's more of us.
Oh, I was talking about in reference to the world. There's no sense in measuring dicks on the same winning team. Everybody in the Super Bowl gets a ring. You know what I mean? That wins.
So
we throw more humans and money at the problem.
Yeah. So you got out of the Army, and then you decided, all right, I'm going to get into a music career. And then is that when you started your social media stuff? Because you've been doing like this online video stuff forever. Is that right?
Yeah. So social media and music actually happened before the Army.
Okay.
That happens in my teenage years.
Okay.
That happens basically in middle school. I tell the joke, but it's true, where I tell when these kids are so frustrated about their TikTok accounts not blowing up and like, Bryant blew up overnight. I'm like, bitch, I've been making content since 1993. Fuck all that.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Y'all gotta put in some decades and figure out what people want to hear before it starts blowing up. Like
29 years I've been clacking at this shit. So.
No Miley Cyrus here. You didn't just start famous.
But it started. The social media wasn't social media back then. It wasn't even the internet. Actually, I was a little kid poking around on Prodigy.
Right.
Then I learned it. I learned the game. I got a track. I'm a computer scientist too by education because my mom realized I was too stupid to do anything else when I was young, so she sent me to computer camp. Thank God she did that for me.
Yeah.
And then so that's just kind of how it progressed. But yeah, the doing tech shit was always a part of my childhood. And then I got into music in my teens and started playing with bands. And then that just carried with me through the military through my Fortune 500 career, and then now to basically being a homeless philosopher that walks around and yells at people on the internet.
Hey, I'm on the plan.
I wrote that plan. Minus the music.
Right.
And the computers. And the officer thing.
See, Ben
and
just-
the Fortune 500.
Without the camera, Ben just walks around Atlanta.
Talking to myself.
Or anybody else who would listen.
Yeah, I can't believe people are listening. That's the hilarious part. Like, really?
I know. Oh my God. Yeah, you know, I got on, like, I've been doing, like, online stuff on YouTube and whatnot, and one of my fans called up and they're like, hey, have you tried TikTok? And I was like, no, what is it? You know, I didn't even know what it was. And the only thing I knew about it was like, oh, dance movies connected with what Vine used to be. So how long is this thing going to take to implode? Right. So, right. So I'm not going to spend any time investing in what it is or figuring out how to use it. And then she got me online with that, and we started doing 60-second videos, and I put out just a bunch of little shorts and funny little clips and whatnot, which were connected with a little skit thing that I'd done. And then I started putting out quick mind mastery tips and tricks, and literally overnight, like over a fucking weekend, I had 100,000 followers. Yep. And it was crazy how fast people were yearning for, like, and I look back at it in retrospect, and I'm like, well, of course it makes sense, right? Because the attention span of the human mind has now been shrunk down to less than a minute, and they can only handle like a minute or less in content. But that's a really stressful thing for the human mind. It's a really stressful thing for the human brain, is to make those mode shifts over and over and over and over. And when you're scrolling, you may be looking for that dopamine hit, but your brain is screaming for some relief, right? And so you find somebody on there is giving you tips and tricks on how to reduce the stress in your mind, and all of a sudden, yeah, why wouldn't you blow up if you're giving out good content like that? So I totally get why people are gravitating to your content and seemingly gravitating to the stuff that I put out. I get it, but it's just, you know, the thing that surprised me though is, for a crowd that is having that mind that is so desperate to stop those every 60-second mode shifts, they are such a kind and compassionate and thoughtful bunch overall. Like, there's some trolls, like, you know, there's going to be some problem children and whatnot. Is that what you found as well on your channel?
Yeah, so I've been lucky so I blew up first on YouTube, then Facebook, then YouTube again with a second channel, and then I did the TikTok thing. And that's actually not true. I actually built my own social media platform back in like 2009 that flopped, and then I had my own website and community that I ran before social media got started.
Okay,
yeah, that's cool.
But what I found is interesting about me specifically, and other creators who do things like me, is we see the trolls less. One, because if you have confidence and you it looks like you know what you're talking about.
Not a soft target.
Yeah, you're not a soft target. But I'm also usually very positive. Like, I'm not spitting a lot of opinions about shit. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just like, hey, if you go do this thing, it makes your life a little bit better. Yeah. Try it. If I'm wrong, fuck me and move on.
Yeah.
Right? And usually people can accept that, and they're just not going to troll. TikTok, I would say, I've probably experienced more trolls on TikTok just because I get more attention there than anywhere else. But they're usually less flagrant than like the YouTube trolls. Boy, they are. Mwah. I've had some really good insults that I framed. Like, I'm going to have a picture in my new office of my favorite troll comment. The guy hopefully will become famous one day. If I can become famous. My goal is my life will be successful if I make him famous.
And then you troll him.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Because like
let's see how big that dick is, dude.
It was one of those insults, and I don't want to speak for you guys, but I love it when someone can insult me and make me laugh.
Yes.
Like, I
for sure.
at his insult.
Absolutely.
Cried laughing. Like, this was and he was actually angry. He was not joking. He was mad. It was hilarious.
That's the funniest one. It was when they're serious. Yeah, when they're so bent out of shape about something preposterous.
But I was reviewing a video game, for God's sake, and I had to get a death threat because I apparently liked it 15% less than he did.
That's actually a lot better than
scare you as a psychoanalyst. That's the psychology of the humans we're dealing with. But yeah, the trolls, I would say, are less vicious, at least the ones I've experienced on TikTok. And I think you're right. I think it's because TikTok is such a quick fire thing. I'm not thinking about real engagement and conversation. I'm just thinking about consuming this thing that's going to help me and moving on. I'm not going to take the time to yell at this guy.
I'm surprised at how many people do stop and leave comments and have entire discussions in the threads, and how deep that conversation can go, and how thoughtful. So there's some trolls and whatnot that are on there to cause havoc, but they have a great conversation in the thread, and you're like, man, I wish I would have seen that earlier when it was timing was apropos for me to respond to it or add my thought to it or whatever, because I have a little bit or whatever, but opinion to add to that. But yeah, it's I got to tell you, this thing is different than all the other social media that I've experienced up until this point.
Very much, I agree.
So what's the favorite thing that has come out of this for you? Because you're running a business, you're doing coaching, you've got clients that you help out on a one-on-one basis. Are you is this your day job now? Are you full-time life philosopher or?
No, I have no day job, man. I can't work at the companies I own because I'm not qualified to.
Me neither.
I'm good at owning companies and helping companies not fuck up. That's the two things I'm good at. Working at them, I learned for a lot of years.
Yeah,
you're a much better owner than you are CEO. But no, most of my focus these days is really on my family and on the core nucleus of warriors that I'm, mentoring off of social media. Some of them are on there, but a lot of what I do during the day is just helping warriors take full command of their life and their businesses so that we can actually make this existence into something that we don't have to keep bitching about.
Now, your definition of warrior is beyond just a returning combat veteran or something, like somebody with military experience. The warrior is somebody who's in the trenches from an entrepreneur standpoint, or maybe even from a parenting standpoint, or just from a life management standpoint. Somebody who's out there trying to get some improvement done, right?
Yeah, warrior is simply the man or woman or other who lives and dies for the betterment of their tribe.
Nice.
Doesn't have to hold a weapon. I have fought with warriors that were pacifists.
Right.
I wasn't with them in combat, but
It'd be complicated.
Were ships passing in the night.
Yeah.
We were ships passing in the night in the same war. So it's not about aggression or war. And every warrior will tell you, we're praying, you want to go to war because you want to be tested, but we're praying we never have to use these skills, man. I don't want to have to kill, but if I need to, so it's more along the lines of how do I transition from the kind of basic brutal humanity of warfare and turn that into something that works in the real world. So it's take the brutality of war and say, okay, what if that was life? And then how can I turn people into, battlefield commanders, except they're commanding their lives instead of, a unit, and navigate that space in a way that's not just productive for them, because, happiness and all that shit that people chase, which to me is a waste of time. It's no, get a purpose, chase your fulfillment, and make life better for other people. And then you will be happier than you've ever been in your life as a byproduct of you serving other people.
Yes.
Not you chasing the fame or getting on the Rogan show. None of that is going to keep you happy. Serving other people is the only thing that does it. And that's what warriors know better than anybody is. When people tell us, thank you for your service, it's goddamn right. I was honored to do that. It was a privilege to have these men, I worked with men, to serve those men and try to be less than a piece of shit so I can be a person who helps them.
Right.
You learn that when you're in, at least I hope people learn that when they're in uniform. I hope I'm learning it. Shit.
Now, do you find that the audience is receptive to that message, or do you find that a lot of it goes over a bunch of people's heads? You seem to be a person who's very comfortable with speaking to a small audience, but an audience that you are being effective within. You say that a lot in a lot of your videos. I don't give a shit if this gets to 3 people. If it's the 3 right people, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
It's fair, and it's not really my idea. I always say I have never had an original thought. That line of thinking comes from Napoleon Hill, I believe. I've read a lot of books, so I may have forgotten where I got this from. But I believe in the law of success. Napoleon Hill, one of the major themes in there, he's talking about most people aren't what they would consider to be successful. That's where you always hear me talk about the 98 and the 2%.
Yeah.
That's a Napoleon Hill comment. That's not mine. But what he was saying was only about 2% of Earth ever really figures this game out and becomes willing to die. Because that's what people are what do I need to change about my life to be like you? Everything. The thing that exists right in front of me has to die and become something else.
Fact.
To be what you want.
Yeah.
Right? So most people don't want to do that because it's too hard. And we live in a modern world where shit's easy.
So if I can be mediocre, fucking run out the clock at my shit job and play softball on Sunday, but I can still have a decent life where my family eats and I have a house. Well, why would I get up 6 days a week and do band workouts on TikTok and try to become a person?
Yeah.
Well, the reason why you do this is because that guy's going to be really depressed at the end of his life and not realize that he was in the 98% of people that never really got after something that he cared about. So it's yes, I am comfortable with a smaller audience, but I think what's the deeper root cause of that in me is I'm not naive to the fact that only about 2% of human beings are even capable of being willing to try the shit I'm talking about. So yeah, you're right. Like a lot of people, I think, like my stuff, but what I'm really up to does go over most of their heads.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm finding that a lot on the folks who want to watch, and I get this a lot, like, because you and I and everybody in this room know that if you want to put in any amount of real change, it's going to take an extended effort over time. And I think, right. And you got to get in there and do the homework. And I got this free 45-day course on YouTube, right? But at the end of that, there's homework that you got to do every day. And part of it is like, meditate for 10 minutes or whatever. But people want to watch the videos and not do the homework, I think. And I think we're in that kind of a world where they just want to watch something and then get the benefit from it without doing the work. And that thing drives me nuts a little bit. Like if there was one thing about this whole path, this whole method, this whole mission of wanting to help people help themselves by giving them the information it's the information and then you got to do the work. And then the work part doesn't come through. And then they bitch at me like, it hasn't changed me. I'm like, hey, did you do your meditation? No. But no. The correct answer there is no, and you should go do it right now before you say another fucking word to me because I'm gonna slap you, right?
Exactly right.
Yeah. So that's a little frustration that I get that I see that I would love to have change, but I think like you said, that's like a 98-2 thing where 98% of people just don't want to get up off the couch and do something.
Well, think about it. If you live in America, man, you can have a really comfortable life without trying that hard. And I know that sounds kind of dismissive to people who are trying really hard, but I guess what I'm trying to articulate is the push that I have. Like people always ask me, how are you so motivated? It's like, I'm not, guys. I had nausea this morning when I woke up. I was dealing with a little more anxiety than usual because I'm exposed. I'm in front of a lot of people all of the time.
Right.
And I didn't want to fucking work out this morning, but I do want to live to be old when my grandkids are around. So I get my ass up and do it. And so what I find with that 98 versus 2%, what I really think might be at play is that most people, not us, because we wouldn't be included, we'd be in the 2%, but I think most people they basically build a life where the whole game is avoiding pain. And the problem with that is pain is exactly what turns you into Elon Musk and frickin' Sasuke, the African samurai.
Yeah.
It's like pain is why the people at the top are up there is because they didn't run from it. They ran into that stuff and became a different person. They crucified the shitty parts of themselves by going through the hardship. And then that new person that came out on the other side was built in a way that was more capable and of more service to more people. So magically people like you more, you make more money and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I think that the curse that's going on Earth right now is for a lot of people, and this is a perspective shift that I think may offend some folks, is your life's too easy.
Yo.
Like your life's just like we are living at the greatest time in human history, and I have never heard humans bitch as much as we do today.
Word. God damn.
I don't get it.
Here.
Like, damn, dude. Yeah, shit is bad. Welcome to fucking Earth. We all got here because of rape. Does everybody understand that? Like,
truth.
Or at least that's what the history books say. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But like, we got here being some brutal motherfuckers. And if you think we're just gonna wake up in 2021 and it's civilization and Star Trek, like, good luck.
Yeah. We got a lot of conditioning to get over.
Like, we got 200,000 years of butt fucking people to death that we got to work out.
Or work in.
Sorry.
No.
It's all right. We'll let it slide this time. But only for the betterment of humanity.
Look, there's a reason I wanted to have you on this show.
most people run from their pain, so they never experience the friend that pain is that makes you into a better person whose life doesn't suck.
Pain's a doctor.
And I get it. A lot of people are living with a tremendous amount of pain. I'm not making light of people's trauma.
No. Yeah. I mean,
people are suffering out here.
Yeah.
I get it. And your life is easy. Both are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm just channeling in on that Wolverine book you have behind you, but you're exactly explaining the superhero complex. You know, everyone right now is infatuated with the Marvel movies and stuff like that today, right? But you have to look at that superhero that you like and realize that that superhero went through some painful shit before they became a superhero. Batman, parents died, self-finding, became Batman. And a lot of people, they want to skip that painful part and just be a superhero. Well, you're never going to be a superhero without hitting that painful part.
Yeah, no doubt.
Superman was born super, that asshole. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, right.
Superman
fucking alien.
All of his people. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
but he didn't know him, so he never lost him. You know what I mean? Like, fuck that guy.
Let me tell you, Superman's actual superpower. And I used to hate Superman until my mind shifted. Superman, his actual superpower is suppressing his powers.
Yeah, acting.
Yeah, his acting is his superpower.
Because he could exist as he could exist as a deity and rule. His actual superpower is
I don't exert my full force.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you humans exist.
It's showing restraint.
Yeah, and I love the Wolverine reference too, because it's the only comic book I like, because I don't really like comics that much or the Marvel movies. But I get why they're popular. And Wolverine strikes to me, I relate to him because I'm similar. Like, he grew up in a family that wasn't exactly his own, born out of wedlock. He was born a sickly kid. I wasn't sick, but wildly insecure and neglected. So it was just like, there's this piece of shit child that's just existing and should be dead, basically, is what the comic book is saying. And then all of a sudden you realize all the shit that's wrong with him is actually his mutation taking over and making him invincible.
Yeah.
So it's like this childhood where he was just ostracized and hated, and his family was terrible. You know, they come from slave owners and shit. It was just like, he had to go through all that hell, but now you can't kill him.
Right.
Would you trade positions? Like, would you go through a little bit of hell to get claws that come out of your hand and not be able to be killed? I might think about it. I might wrestle a bear or two if I get claws at the end of that shit.
Taking bets in Russia, wrestling bears.
Oh, man.
Well, Ben's a big proponent of the fact that it takes pain to grow, and he reminds me of that always, because I kind of lean on the side of wanting to find comfort before pain, and he's like, motherfucker.
You'll never search hard enough and deeply enough and appropriately enough for true comfort and persistent comfort without the amount of respect that endeavor takes and requires, because of the amount of pain that has made that relative. If you have only experienced a X amount of pain, we'll say on a scale of 1 to 10, to you it's a 10, to the rest of the world, you got your toe stepped on or your fucking Mustang taken away from you when you were 16 because you had a new Mustang, whatever the case.
Yeah.
And then chasing a new car is gonna cause you a tremendous amount of effort, and it will void you of any understanding of the true value of what you'd get at the end of that.
Right.
So you'd never actually pursue it hard enough. You'd half-ass your way through a tremendously long period of time, wasting an insanely valuable amount of resources,
Yeah.
and focusing half-assed intently, never mind you, on something that is completely meaningless.
Yeah.
And the real pain isn't that you got your Mustang taken away, it's that you spent your life until you were in your late 20s chasing money,
Yeah.
and spending money and losing money and friends and a sense of self and an understanding or an intuitive notion of temporal place in your environment, at the expense of falling short of your ultimate gain, because what you were chasing couldn't be gained. It was meaningless in the first place. You have to truly experience the depth and magnitude of the pain that you as a person can possibly withstand without completely permanently breaking,
Yeah.
in order to receive anything of value long term. Otherwise, you're objectively selling yourself short. You're wasting everyone's time and all of our resources. If you don't go out of your way to stack on the pain so much so that you find where the boundaries are.
Yeah.
You're Helen Keller in a fucking room, and somebody just told you you're in a room.
Yeah.
My ass is bumping into every wall until I know the fuck where they are.
Yeah.
How far away they are, and then I'm in a room.
Right. That you haven't been lied to.
Right.
That it's not an illusion. That there's not an inaccuracy
So
somewhere.
everybody with a glass ceiling and locked in a jail cell and can't express themselves and can't achieve, the 1% is controlling you. The 1% is controlling the wealth,
Right.
the material wealth.
Yeah.
Something a human does not need to
Right.
subsist or experience a rich, fulfilled life.
Yeah.
Ask him. He's got the hottest wife who ignores his workouts and interrupts them to threaten him with sex. I would pay money that I don't have. I would spend the rest of my life working for money to pay it all to see any of the 1%ers who have a woman that is the hottest woman on the planet and it would interrupt something meaningful to them to threaten them with sex. Because I would be willing to bet the rest of my life and all of that work, which is turns out can be a lot of work.
Yeah.
And that none of them have ever experienced that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that Bezos probably has that experience of...
What's sad is he doesn't even know that that's more important than what he has.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. We need to get him on the show.
No doubt, man.
You know what's the problem? Is
that,
Jeff?
they're not interested in that.
Jeff, has your hot wife interrupted your workouts and threatened you with sex?
Right.
Oh, no, she threatened your business because that's the only thing that matters to you, which is sad.
Yeah.
Wait, I have a wife?
Oh, that was
Yeah.
zing right there. That's comedic timing right there.
And the
Well
TikTok
done.
thing, it's a strange juxtaposition of you guys' understanding of healing because you guys both have really, really rock solid intention to heal.
Yeah.
And you guys have made a very sound judgment call to adapt to this society's malady or dysfunction or predisposition to have no attention span and still be subconsciously yearning for truth and wisdom in a sea of nonsense. I get that. However, if you look at things and we'll call healing Western medicine and physiological healing for the time being, just for this example.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen the world's greatest neurosurgeon running through the streets telling people with neurological disorders, chasing them down, tapping them on the back and saying, you need to come have neurosurgery?
Right.
And how many patients do you think any of those world's greatest ... providers would, how many people do you think that they would actually heal in their career if they spent any amount of time doing that to one of them?
Right. Although, have you seen my latest videos? I'm not helping dick when I'm talking about aliens.
I haven't seen your latest videos because I don't have social media. I spend all of my time at home with my front porch light on like the big H and waiting for people to come to me when they were ready for healing. Because then I don't have to go through the rigmarole of finding the ones that take it.
Yeah, no shit.
And I don't have to spend any energy on the ones that won't.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm building now. Is 2022. I'm pulling the plug.
I dig it. Well, we'll talk offline about that because let's collaborate. I got a lot of cool shit going on.
It's funny because people see what I do on TikTok, and I'm like, guys, this is
peanuts to an elephant. Yeah.
0.0000007% of my life.
Right.
The real shit that I'm doing, you guys, it's with lives.
It's literally a small fraction. It's a 1 minute blip. It's such a smaller fraction than that.
Yeah, like I just partnered with a few other business owners. They're, I have nothing to do with the creation of it. They're the engineers, but we're basically building the shit that's going to lead to Star Trek.
Fuck yes.
Like the stuff we're involved in, I'm not talking to TikTok about that. They're too busy dancing.
Right.
Yeah.
I just paired with the NFL because I made a version of some frontier medication with psilocybin and a few other things that actually, promotes that epigenetic neurogenesis and treats concussions. So the NFL guys, just Calvin Johnson and those guys at Harris, their organization, it works with cognitive problems and all the TBI issues and stuff. We got a $20 million contract. We're in bed with them now. So
They're working on an inhaler that works on the sidelines and just like post concussion, like immediate treatment on the sidelines for concussive,
Yeah.
incidents. And the NFL's totally interested in all that stuff. And I mean, that's, it's part of the work that's going on behind the scenes before a reschedule. Because I mean, officially psilocybin's still Schedule 1, but the writing's on the wall that the science
I don't care.
Support. All right.
I'm going to do it anyway.
The writing's on the wall.
And the smart people in the world are backing that.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Peter Thiel is just invested a bunch of money in a big company that's, I guess, maybe going to wind up being a competitor to you guys.
No such thing in my field.
Right. It's... What do we call that? Co-opetition, something like that? Is that the word?
I'm not sure. Whatever research that I come across, I intend to make public domain, and then I intend to use the resources that I have to make it so accessible to so many people that they cannot control it, and every brilliant mind that wants to do it gets to.
Sweet.
Yeah, we definitely need to stay connected, man. we have some similar spirit stuff going on around here, brother.
Heard that.
That's exactly how I did my courses when I first started launching them.
Fuck
Just
yeah.
Here, take them. This is
It's not mine. It's not my knowledge.
Yeah.
I wish I was the first one. I wish I was the first one to grow mushrooms because it's badass. I wish I was the first one to see the therapeutic value and want them to be available for other people. And I really wish I could take credit for being the first one to be methodical and follow the scientific method.
Yeah.
And do it appropriately.
Yeah.
And follow linear quantifiable progression.
But
Oh,
I don't know,
not.
like exercise.
We're not.
Oh, did he say science?
Yeah.
Preposterous. Yeah, we don't do science
This
here.
is Echo 6. He said science.
Take them out.
Yeah, send in the cancelers.
Oh wait, we're not public domain yet, or at least not big enough to be. I guess they're just gonna have to call one of us to assassinate me.
Okay, so you're gonna take your monitor.
They're gonna call Doug to come get me in the night in my sleepy times. Fuck you.
So what is next for Bryant Chambers? What do you have going on behind the scenes? What are you working on that you haven't been just sharing with folks?
I think I've shared most of what's going on. I mean, I've got, the companies we own or the guys that I'm helping build companies. All that's always going on.
Yeah.
I've always got my tribe of warriors that I'm helping. My mission, if there ever was one, was to accelerate human cognitive evolution. Because I am borderline convinced that this American dream is an experiment that's gone on throughout human history. And I always tell people to read the Bible. If you don't believe in God, there's a lot of good information in there. Like, if you look at the Old Testament, it's just a story of humans doing the same stupid shit over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then it's like we get to America and we're still fucking doing it. Like,
right.
Did you not goddamn read the shit that was written down?
Just read
guys?
any book.
Right.
Literally.
Any book.
It doesn't even have to be a Bible. Read
Like
any
fucking
book
Lord of the
ever.
Rings.
Read anything ever. Watch any movie. Read any book. Go anywhere. You don't even have to leave the country. You don't even have to leave your neighborhood. Just literally do anything. Do anything and pay attention to anything ever. And tell me that we're not doing the same stupid shit again.
And I'm convinced if we are living in an evolutionary mismatch, if that is a thing, where we've evolved over 200 or so thousand years, and we live in a world where God creates us, we evolve really slow, we create technology and it evolves 1,000 times faster than us, so our children, our creations make a world that's way more advanced than our brains are capable of living in.
Right.
I think we didn't evolve for social media. I think we evolved to be connected to way less people, and that's why we scream so much.
Yep.
So it's if the only variable I see in the calculus, because I always come back to math, is the fear is because we're too stupid. Like we have to be smarter.
Yeah.
If we're smarter, we don't make decisions based on fear. We make it based on what you guys were talking about, which is quantifiable evidence.
Right.
Regardless of what my beliefs or values are, if the fucking math says don't walk that way, saber-toothed tigers, I get that you think Jesus told you to walk that way, but maybe have a second talk with him to make sure you heard him right.
I've got some really good shit.
Hey, Christ, real quick, man. Hey, listen. Oh, Bleecker Street, not Malcolm X Boulevard. Got it. I heard you wrong.
I've got some really good stuff that I'm going to send you, some different literature and different links. But you're 100% spot on. It's a fear-based thing.
If we don't get smarter, right, and then I'll shut up. I'm almost convinced that I heard some dummy say we evolve what is it, 1% every 10,000 years? I have no idea if that's true, but let's just say that's true.
Okay.
I think humans need about another million years in the cooker before America can work.
Right.
And I mean that, like, that's
Current,
funny.
current
it's
state
funny 'cause
is
it's
it's
fucking
true.
right.
Yeah.
It might be true. I think we need, if that math is correct, and God only knows, we need about another million years in the cooker. But we now live with technology that can help us get smarter faster. So let's just use social media to get smarter, to learn things that, like, learn about the brutality of human past. Then you are not surprised when cops kill black dudes like me.
Right.
And then you can start to actually apply intelligent fucking economic pressure on the bureaucratic systems that are causing the problem. Because I've worked with and consulted these police departments. I have sat in the room with police chiefs and inspectors trying to get rid of bad officers. But the fucking bureaucracy won't let them do it because bureaucrats are cowardly, stupid people.
Yeah.
Who don't like to embrace change when it's appropriate. Which, by the way, that's not a criticism. You need neurotic people to sustain shit.
Yeah.
Right.
But if we don't get smarter, we keep doing stupid shit. And then we keep, like, we're fighting because we're dumb.
Right.
Like, we don't realize that Democrats and Republicans are part of a whole, not the fucking two sides of Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker.
Right,
Like,
right.
And if you don't know that, it's because you just haven't read enough. Like, and you're listening to your dumbass parents and CNN instead of looking at, hey, there's other information out here that if we just consume some of this, we might get a little more intelligent. And then the next time a killing like this or maybe another killing doesn't happen.
Right.
Because we made enough people smart.
Boom.
Like, if you take the IQ level in our country above a certain level, racism would be over tomorrow.
Sure.
Right. Because it would stop being talked about. It would be irrelevant. And
you
that's
have to
the
be
step to the
stupid.
death.
You have
Yeah.
to be dumb to do it.
Right.
You have to actually be an ignorant person to be racist.
Right.
Yeah.
Fact.
You eliminate the stupidity, you eliminate the racism. But
Fact.
what we want to do is march and tear down fucking statues. It's like, no, humans respond to economic pressure, not emotional fucking cries. Like, and march, do it. Like, let the world hear your voice. I'm all for it. But also get some people who can put, like, I'm a part of a coalition right now where I live that's doing exactly that. We have some issues with racism and institutionalized bullshit because I live in one of the richest places in the world. And so we just made a group that's putting pressure on the government and these institutions to be like, hey, that kid you got sitting in jail that I'm paying for because you found half a gram of weed in his car, fuck you. We're hiring somebody else to do this job.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to let my tax dollars pay for this kid to sit there when he could be doing something productive with his time. You know, so until we get that shit figured out, I think we're just going to keep having the same dumbass arguments about black and white and good and evil.
We just had a conversation.
A really long one. Yeah. It's really in depth.
In the last episode, as a matter of fact, on how both sides are pushing in the wrong direction away from each other on any issue, not just whatever issue. You know, like we talked about race just a second ago, or the police issue with shooting black people. Any issue, we are pushing left versus right, top versus bottom, up versus down, inside versus outside, and all the different facets of the argument in whatever situation that we're dealing with are all pushing in the wrong direction because they're pushing for, no, my portion is important to listen to. My portion is important to be heard. And both sides are right. Like, even in the,
and they're both wrong too.
And they're both wrong, right? But even on the side of the problem that we have with policing and racism in policing, right? It's not necessarily, we didn't set up the institution to be racist. We didn't set up the institution to be unfair. There are some people in the system that are causing that skewing to occur. But the institution as a whole needs to be supported, because if the cops go away tomorrow, if they just walk off the job because the job becomes too much of a bullshit hassle,
Or too dangerous,
or whatever the case may be, then the next day you will have vigilantes setting up a checkpoint that is a cash toll to get out of your fucking neighborhood, and no one will be there to stop them. So that's wrong. Except that we want to defund the police or whatever, right? Yeah, I'd be a part of the militia.
We'll be out there.
So, but the other side of that is, yes, you certainly need to protest. You certainly need to be out there with your phones and making recordings and sharing your voice and making these inaccuracies and inequities heard and seen so that we can squash them out. But you stop at burning a fucking building down or breaking glass or all the other shit that's going on as well, because then that pushes you that much farther from the center.
So I guess from where I'm sitting, which could matter to some folks or not, I don't really care if you're listening, we'll go ahead and give you a little tidbit, a little gem you should take on board. Let's not try to hold other people accountable if you're not taking responsibility and holding yourself accountable pre-text.
Word.
Before you start trying to hold other people accountable for their misdeeds, make sure that you've got a reconciled checkbook.
Yeah, take personal responsibility for your
and
own
that's
shit.
community oriented. That's not
calling people out
individuals. That's not segregated subculture groups. That is specifically in your community. If there's an issue, and don't worry about the global community. Don't worry about the national community. Don't worry about your affiliated race, religion, gender. Yet, when there is a tragedy that occurs, don't worry about forcing others to be accountable for their actions until you make sure that you've, as a community and as an individual, have taken responsibility and been accountable for all of your own.
Yeah, such as, retraining an entire police force to rebuild the culture inside your organization if you have a problem in that area. And like, you don't yell
That's
at...
beating your head against the wall. I think you and I can both agree on that.
Yeah, you don't just point fingers at somebody else and say your shit is broken. It's like, what responsibility did you have to not step up and maybe retrain the officers in the situation and train them for de-escalation on in this particular issue?
I petitioned for reform, and they've snubbed their nose at me and denied it on so many occasions.
Yeah.
And right now, as it stands, one of the most prolific officers, African-American gentleman who spent 16 years on a drug task force, a special drug unit in Atlanta, with its acronym Red Dog, run every drug dealer out of Georgia. They literally got disbanded because they did non-standard means and got the job done really fucking well. And super unethically, but really well. And he was a unit commander. He was such a badass dude. And now he's leaving the force after last year. And he is coming to work for us at our cannabis and psilocybin and his other psychedelic research company, Biofarm Research Company, as our head of public relations.
Nice.
And he's been spending his time reconciling the internal struggle of, now I believe in this, and I put people behind bars for this. He goes around the prisons and gives these dudes hugs because that's all he's got left.
Wow.
That is wow.
And him and I, during these protests, which ended up being riots, he almost got shot plenty of times by African American folks as a black cop.
Yeah.
Because he was a cop.
Yeah.
And him and I spent one night when there was double-digit officers on duty instead of 3,500 to 5,300 in the city. There was 12.
Fuck.
We went around the city one night, going to precincts and breaking into their armories to consolidate weapons because they were getting fucking raised.
Their armories
and looted.
Fuck.
The armories.
Jesus.
We went to 3 zones armories to pull the weapons out and lock them up at the house. This dude's done with the police force. It's not a thing on any individual person. It's the fact that everybody across the board, for the most part, with very few exceptions, are not taking responsibility.
Yeah.
There has to be something that got you there, and there has to be something that could have been done to prevent it from escalating.
Yeah.
If you're worried about cops being racist, and that's a true statement in your own mind, do not go up to a cop, especially one who you are certain is racist.
Right.
One who is stretched thin resource-wise and debilitated by having all of their abilities and their tools taken from them, whether from their police chief or public or whatever. They've been disarmed now. Yeah. Anything that they do is being scrutinized. That is a form of disarmament. Being in theater with oversight, whoa, how much more complicated is a combative operation when you have too much oversight? Yeah. So at this point, if you truly believe that they're racist, do not go up to them and get right in their face when they're tired, strung out, no teeth anymore, and say, shoot me, and provoke them. And then when they push you, be like, oh, what the fuck? You fucking see it? And then rile everybody up.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen? You can't set these people up for failure. They're already incompetent.
I think you got to start every portion of any urge you would have to fix anything in this world with how can I improve my own efforts and my own thinking in this area?
And how can I make it easier for everyone on both sides so that they don't have to be sides?
Yeah.
You're not going to make anything easier for anyone by making one side stronger than the other, because that's what led to the nuclear arms race.
Right.
That's what led to everything that's ever been a conflict in the world, is one side was perceivably stronger than the other, and one side was convinced that they were being done dirty and being raked over the coals, and they didn't think that they were less than.
Yeah.
That's the problem. If everybody's problem is that there's sides, stop taking sides.
Yeah.
Please.
Black man, white man. Hey, let's stop. Let's get these people to stop taking sides. You know what I mean?
Plus, like, I go back to what Malcolm X said after his trip to Mecca, when he was like, listen, I'll work with anybody if it's about fixing this human condition.
If it's about
I don't care if you're
growing.
black, white, whatever you are, if you're about fixing the human condition that we all agree that is a problem, I just want to be effective. That's what I rail against. And I think one of the things that kind of gets guys in our space misunderstood is that we do a lot of research and have a lot of experience before we speak.
Correct.
You know, we're not just reading blogs and spouting opinions. Like, we have bled for the shit that we talk about. So it's when we're presenting a lot of, and I learned this from comedians, because I was listening to Cat Williams, Bill Burr, and like Dave Chappelle, and when they talk, not when they're on stage, but they talk about, you have to, and Chris Rock talks about this too, and Seinfeld, like, you have to take your audience on the journey. They don't get what you're talking about because they're not used to being presented with ideas like the ones we do.
Right. Yeah.
Same thing. And I think comedians are just a new age version of philosopher, because we live in a world where nobody's disciplined anymore. We have to have fun every time we do something. We can't just have an experience.
Right.
But it's like the needing to take the audience on the journey. So it's like when I say anxiety is actually your friend, and physiologically, it is the same thing as enthusiasm and excitement.
It's ambition.
Physical body.
It's drive.
Yeah.
Right. And in here is where the dance is happening that makes you think you're either scared or excited.
Yeah.
So if you can just act and stop being up here, just use these.
Yes.
And go, this shit. Hold on. Oh, sorry, I lost audio. And just walk, this shit will begin to act accordingly. And I literally, like, I have, you know, not to mention the therapy that I go through, but the psychotherapist that I work with, Sean, like, I'm always looking for you guys to see my videos and be like, that is the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life, so I can get better.
Right.
Which you never do. But I get dilettante, non-research, fucking blog reading, dancing kids yelling, that's the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. I'm like, but all the clinical psychologists.
Stupid is as stupid does, right?
It's just evidence of the fact that I'm presenting something to some of these young people that is, like, to me, it's just simple biology, a little bit of neurology and psychology.
Yeah.
Books are right there. Like, I'll give them to you, but it's not even like PhD level shit.
And it's not new.
They've never heard any of it. It's like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Well, no, it's just information that you don't have yet.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to actually, he's like, you don't know what you're talking about. I was like, dude, I have chronic anxiety. Fuck you. Like, wrong. Like, yes, I know the feeling, bitch. Like, I'm telling you, I'm walking through it. But but not to criticize a young man that's probably going through a hard time, but it's one of those things where, like, people a lot of times rail against the things that we're presenting simply because, like, if you were 20 years ago having that conversation about mushrooms, you would have been on the news.
Oh, yeah.
11 o'clock, keep your kids away from this Navy SEAL that's turned evil.
Oh, shit. 5 years ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago. I'd have been on the news. Yeah, I was. and now they want me back to help their dudes get out of the survey. Yeah. That's just poetic. You can't even write that shit. They're like, hey, how do we get these guys better treatment with psychedelics legitly instead of sending them to Mexico? I'm like, you mean the thing that you guys kicked me out for, huh?
Exactly right.
All right, yeah, no, I see how it is.
It's hilarious. And so that's the thing is we're so used to, we live in our space. So this is Tuesday for us.
Right.
But what I'm learning, and this is an empathy issue for me, I'm trying to develop more empathy. Like, I grew up in a bubble. I was raised by an assassin. Then I went and did the same shit. Then I went to run a part of a Fortune 500 company. I've never had a normal life like a kid. So it's like, I'm talking to all these kids on TikTok that I kind of don't relate to.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have their experiences.
Right.
And so it's like, I'm talking about discipline. And, like, to me, it's just the way my brain works because I had people that built that discipline for me. So I'm privileged in that way. But it's like, I'm so taken aback sometimes when I hear the comeback. Like, who are your parents? They need to be dead immediately.
Well, that's the
They
thing.
have failed you and everybody. Like, are they raising any more kids? Because this has got to stop. You know what I mean? Like,
So, as a friend and a peer, that would be an understandable perspective. Being concerned about being relatable, but if you're taking the position of a healer, how many cardiac surgeons do you think feel like it's necessary to relate to their patient's understanding of cardiology in order to give them effective treatment? The fact that you can't relate to them means specifically
Other way
that
around.
you are actually providing them something that is much needed. The fact that you don't relate is the most beneficial thing that they'll never understand until they're so broken they don't have a choice.
I love that because I was looking at it from the other perspective.
Right.
It's not that they can't relate to me. I know they can't relate to me.
No neurologist
I don't-
ever tried to explain to a toddler with Parkinson's or MS or something exactly what's going on. They tried to
But
fix
if you
it.
don't know you have MS,
Then you never go to the
can't help
doctor.
Yeah.
I can't help
You never go to the
That's
doctor.
more what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because I'm out here saying shit to people.
That's because you guys are the doctor. I was saying it's chasing a dude down the street.
Yeah.
That's something to be
I'm more-
expected.
no,
There's nothing wrong with it because you're still doing the good fight.
Look at I'm more the first chapter of Proverbs. I'm wisdom in the house. Just waking up every day. I come outside. Hey guys, you want some wisdom?
Right.
No. All right, going back in.
Right.
Taking it back in. So I definitely don't chase people.
No. Fair enough. Yeah, the metaphorical chase.
I just opened the window like, hey, y'all want some wisdom? I mean, I don't have the best shit, but I feel like not sure from Idiocracy. Like, I'm a fucking moron, but I'm the smartest guy on the planet. It's like, hey,
Not now, baiting.
like some wisdom. No? Oh, an orgy. Okay, enjoy that. I'll be back in here.
I'm baiting.
I'm baiting.
Not now.
Go away. Baiting.
If Terry Crews was the president, we'd all be in a better place.
Wayne Elizondo, Mountain Dew, Herbert Camacho. Yeah, if he was president, we'd be winning
Yeah,
hard
that'd be Gucci.
all day.
So what do you think? Where are we headed in this society today, in this day and age? Are we beyond hope, or are we going to pull ourselves out of this thing before the whole thing falls apart?
I don't think we're beyond hope. I was talking to my mom that raised me, who's actually my grandmother, the other day. And I said, Mom, you have the luxury or the blessing of you lived long enough to see things twice.
Yeah.
I said, and like if you read Robert Greene's Human Nature book, you'll have a little bit of hope that all of these generations that we talk about go in cycles. They're cyclical.
Yeah.
So the great generation comes, and then you get the generation after them fucking suck, the baby boomers.
Yep.
And then you get their kids, the Xers, are like, fuck everything. We're
Yep.
gonna build our own shit.
That's
and then
me.
you get the millennials who are the benefactor and the malefactor of the lack of resilience,
Fact.
but
Yeah.
the compassion that comes from the baby boomers through the Xers, because we're checked out.
Yep.
Now the millennials are struggling with a lack of resilience that's killing them from the inside out, but that is how they're developing the resilience.
Right.
What's happening is the younger Xers / older millennials, we're raising the kids that are going to be the next great generation, I think.
Yeah.
So when I listen to my kids talk and interact with their friends, it is not like what's happening on social media right now. And it gives me a lot of hope because they're level-headed. They're open-minded.
Yeah.
They have opinions, but they're not willing to say, well, because you believe in that, that means you're this word, you're evil, you're this kind of phobia. Like, just because you don't believe exactly the way I believe, you have to be evil because politics is religion now. That's the way. And that's what stupid societies do. We turn everything into a religion and then argue at each other.
How old are your kids?
They range from teenager down to the youngest is 5.
How old are you?
How many do you have?
How many do I have?
Yeah.
37.
How old are you?
I'll tell you guys offline.
I saw
You're
this
right.
TikTok about his
I get
wife.
death threats, dog. I ain't putting out my
need,
No worries,
you
no
need
worries.
to tell you need to tell your wife she needs to reduce the number of calls threatening you with sex. You have
No
too
way.
many kids.
Easy, Tiger. So I used to tell people would, especially when I got out, people would always ask me, so what's your long-term plan? And since I don't necessarily subscribe to having conversations unless they're important,
Yeah.
right.
small talks for small minds,
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, I want to tell you, but I know it's not going to make sense to you. It's going to sound
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I intend to either catalyze the end of violence, or my children will be part of what brings violence to a permanent end.
Yeah.
They will usher in human 2.0.
That's my goal. I mean, I got an 11-year-old boy, and he's smart as hell, and the boys here have met him and can vouch. I agree with you. I think they're going to be the greatest generation. I think he's growing up with a lot of insight that's assisted by our, like you said, Gen X. Like we were one of the generations that did not have technology, and then it was thrust upon us, and we were smart enough and intelligent enough on how to use it well.
And we had the longest war in recorded history.
True.
Yeah. Good Lord.
But at the same time, I think they're going to have the benefit of utilizing that technology well. And I think you said it well, Bryant, when you said that, we are too dumb for the technology that we're creating. I think, at least they'll have a shot of using technology well based on the wisdom that we can communicate to them in how we use the technology at our age. And I do agree with you that I think they're going to be the great generation moving forward.
I'm seeing millennials real, and I hate to bin it into groups like that.
But it is what it is. Yeah.
It is what it is. But I'm seeing the older part of that generation start to come online too. Like they had a rough go because they were sold an American dream that didn't exist anymore by dumb baby boomers who still believed in go to college and get a good job.
Yeah.
And now they went to college, and you got people with law degrees working at Dairy Queen, and they're like, "What the fuck, mom and dad? Fuck this."
Yeah.
So now they're regrouping and figuring it out. They're just taking longer because dollars aren't worth shit. Like dad could work at Walmart and have a fucking 7-bedroom house in 1968.
Right.
Now you have to have 19 jobs, a side hustle, and a TikTok just to pay your rent
and a PhD.
Right.
PhD to pay your
that ever got anybody with
rent. Especially if you live where I live, it's like a 1-bedroom apartment's $3,000. So it's like, all right, good luck with that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think we're going to be okay. I think one of the other things I caution people against too is using the media as the lens for what society's really going through. Because I'll tell you right now, when I listen to Democrats and Republicans argue like 4-year-olds on the internet, I can walk right outside and have a legitimate, rational discussion with my very conservative neighbor on this side and my very liberal one on this side, and everybody's fine, and we usually end up making each other dinner.
Yeah.
So the reality is, on the internet, I think part of that evolutionary mismatch is at play, where we're scareder than normal, so we're more likely to act like scared animals and scream, versus if you just get a person in a room and talk to them.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to some of these woke kids who they're out of balance with all the shit they're tyrannically trying to stop people from getting hurt.
Right.
They're
trying to fight against fighting.
They're like Hitler, but they're like a pussified version of Hitler.
Right.
And it's but I've talked with some of these kids and just listened to them and like, what are you actually trying to make happen?
In-state, man.
Well, we've been through trauma and we're trying to help people get. I was like, great. So here's the thing: we don't get through life without pain. That's real.
Right.
Suffering's optional, though.
Yep.
You cannot suffer. So let's help you build resilience and then help you navigate life to avoid the suffering. But don't run away from the pain. That's the part that makes you a better person.
It's fighting change, and you'll never get the change.
Yeah.
Right. If you never have pain, you never change, and you just become a complete narcissist, self-focused, entitled prick. I know. I used to be one.
It's true. Right here, too. Pain is the only catalyst for change.
Yeah.
You will not change without an X amount of appropriate pain. It's the cost of change. Yeah. Period. There is no other transaction. There's no currency. There is nothing that has ever and will ever exist that will be an exchange for change other than pain. If you want change, stand the fuck by and get ready to hurt. Because if you don't hurt, you're going to try to implement that change at the expense of someone else feeling pain. And that makes you on my short list.
Yeah. Yeah, no shit.
Well effing said. You become the tyrant. You become the coward.
You become the thing that you hate in others.
Yeah. Wow. All right, sir.
Well, I'm hopeful. I think we're going to have an okay run, but I'm also real. We're going to have to work for it, which is why, like you guys were talking about, the only reason I'm still on social media is because I feel that obligation to say it to enough people that we can keep, the goal is there was a dream that was wrong. And if we had gotten it right and we had been smarter, we could have made it work. There was a dream that was the United States of America. It's on the decline now because we got weak. but it can be sustained and even uplifted if we right the ship and start building that cognitive evolution into people today. I think if we could very quickly make people not smarter, because I'm not worried about your IQ so much.
No, more self-aware.
Just a little bit wiser and a little more self-aware. You can go out there and crush it in ways you never did before.
Yeah.
And then we all get a better life because we're not at each other's throats fighting over resources that aren't so scarce anymore, even though we still think it is.
It's so ridiculous.
Well, I have grown 0 during this last hour plus because I felt no pain. This is an amazing, awesome episode. Bryant Chambers, where can people find you if they want to find more of your stuff online?
Yeah, what's your address?
911. If you like me, TikTok, Bryant Chambers Speaks. If you love me, you can go
Fans
to my
only.
podcast. It's called the Bryant Chambers Movement, wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you need my help, 202-556-0885. Send me a text. I don't answer the phone, but if you're out there, especially if you're a warrior who's having a hard go, give me a shout. I'm willing to help if I can.
God damn. You know what?
Hell
You
yeah.
fucking put that phone number out there, and I would normally bleep that motherfucker out. I'm not going to do that just for you.
Yeah, don't. Let him have it. Let him
All
have
right.
it.
God
Let
damn
him have
it.
it.
He didn't say
Well,
that because it was a joke.
You're gonna get Santa Claus Santa Claus wish list.
281-330-877.
All right, so I reserve the right to have you on the show in the future.
Dude, out any day, whenever you no bullshit. And I should have said this at the beginning. First of all, thank you. You honored me by letting me be a part of y'all's thing, man. This is fantastic. I had been wishing, and I've been super busy, so I didn't get to hit you. But it was like, he started a podcast. Man, I hope I get to be on it one day. Literally said that shit, and then you hit me up a month later. It was
Fuck
like,
yeah.
I won. So I am honored to be here, man. This has been the most fun I've had doing this shit, brother. This is great.
I appreciate it.
And I've been on some dope shows too. So there's one other guy who got that compliment, and he's gonna be pissed now because this one took over.
The times it changes.
This was great, man.
Do not stop putting out your message online.
Hell yeah.
You ever need to pump me up, you just give me a call and I'll give it to you. You're welcome on the show anytime, brother. Thank you very much for your time today. And you guys know what to do on your little mouse there. You need to click the right buttons, the share, the link, the send it off to your friends and get them to subscribe to our show. You can try out the merchandise at twosealsandawalrus.com/store, and you can get these t-shirts and hats and all that stuff at our store. Thank you very much. We love you guys. Thanks for the love. Talk to you soon. Peace.
2 seals and a walrus.